go to into conduct of business. First is A, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept all title to real property, to accept dedication of roads into the city street system, and to execute escrow and other documents for property transactions relating to the grade separation project.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, you may have noticed that there is a grade separation project going on in the city, and that project has been made possible in part by a complex series of property transactions between Artichoke Joe's, the City and County of San Francisco, and the railroad agency, which consists of, in part, the JPB. So those transactions are outlined in the staff report and on the two maps that you have in front of you. The map on top, believe it or not, is the simpler map that shows some of the transactions that we're talking about in tonight's staff report. The map on the bottom, the more complicated and therefore more difficult to read map, unfortunately shows all of the transactions. We did do our best with a lot of help from the engineering department to try to make them as legible as possible, but as you can see, there's a whole series of things that are happening. But here's the brief summary. In brief, the JPB gets the property it needs for the grade separation. Artichoke Joe's gets reconfigured parking, and the city gets clear fee title to the 50-foot width of Huntington Avenue and the sidewalk at no cost, plus the reconfigured Angus. All those things are going to be occurring as part of the grade separation project. So escrow between all of the parties is ready to close on all of these various property transactions. And there's no money coming to the city, and there's no money going from the city. This is at no charge to the city. The first of a couple of actions that we're going to ask the City Council to take as the grade separation project moves toward completion are the ones tonight. And those tonight are to request authority for the city manager, and if appropriate, in some cases the city attorney, to sign all of the documents that are necessary to close the transaction. So what does that include? It includes accepting the conveyance of Huntington and Angus and dedicating them for public street use. That's one of the things we're asking you to do tonight. It also includes issuing what are called certificates of compliance and a finding of exemption to Artichoke Joe's. Those are for the parcels it's going to use for its lots, and they wanted assurances from the city that once those lots were created, they wouldn't somehow violate our general plan or local zoning ordinances, and we've determined that they don't. We've also determined that in an exemption under the government code, they don't need to file a parcel map for those properties. None of those actions confer any development rights to Artichoke Joe's. It's just a ministerial act that the city can take. We're also requesting this evening that the City Council approve the curb cuts in the Artichoke Joe's parking lot, so they're assured of access into their lots. And those curb cuts are shown approximately in the locations that they're going to be on the maps. Now, we want to make sure that you rest assured that the city's engineering department is scrutinizing all of the legal documents, including legal descriptions, not to mention these maps, to make sure that they comply precisely with all of the things that need to be accomplished for the city to get what it needs, and so the other parties can close the transaction independently. At a later date, we'll be asking the City Council to take some additional actions, such as abandoning the city's rights in the reconfigured streets, which we don't need anymore, and accepting new easements in the Caltrain right-of-way. That's going to involve some additional property transfers, and at that time, we may also have some additional cleanup items in case anybody's noticed anything that needed to be fixed about the property boundaries or their descriptions. Now, while it's not part of this action, staff has had some discussions with the railroad agency about the future use of the former station for potential parking and other uses with the nearby Lions Field and park areas, and we made mention of that in the staff report. We will report back to you about that at a future date. So that concludes my staff report. Staff recommends that you adopt the resolution, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mark, staff? Any action?
I'll introduce the resolution. Councilmember O'Connell. Aye. Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.